forced to go on a blind date during the spring festival. I said with tears in my eyes that there was a younger brother with cerebral palsy at home, who needed taking care of. The blind date fled in panic. A handsome passerby handed me his phone. May I add you on WeChat? I am currently writing a thesis on cerebral palsy. I wonder if your younger brother can be my research case? Staring at this handsome face for 3 seconds. I nodded slowly. Doctor. Thank you so much. Later. My younger brother chased me for 3 blocks. You are the one with cerebral palsy. Your whole family has cerebral palsy. On the 4th day of the Lunar New Year, I was forcibly pressed by my parents to go on a blind date. Go and ask around. Which girl at the age of 25 doesn't even have a boyfriend? Sitting in the coffee shop, looking at the man with a trapezoid face in front of me who was spouting boastful words with flying saliva, I silently sent a message to my best friend Shirley. It seems that it will be another lonely year. Shirley was very optimistic. Don't just look at the face. Maybe he is enthusiastic and humorous. While talking, a trapezoid face man came over and took my hand. Although the industry has a high salary, overtime work is also very tiring. It's not suitable for girls to do this. It's better to take the public servant exam and become a teacher. In this way, the problem of children's education will be solved in the future. And also, I almost laughed. He is really enthusiastic and humorous. I quietly withdrew my hand, wiped non-existent tears, and my voice choked. In fact, I am planning the same. Coincidentally, I have a younger brother with cerebral palsy at home who needs taking care of. Not to mention the expensive medical expenses. It also takes a lot of time and energy. If I become a teacher through the public servant exam, it will be convenient to take care of him in the future. The trapezoid face man froze. His expression changed again and again. This. Why didn't anyone tell me about this before? I was also stunned for a moment. Biting my lip. You won't be disgusted by my family's conditions, will you? Although my younger brother has cerebral palsy, he is very sensible. The trapezoid face man twitched the corner of his mouth and hurriedly took out his phone. No, certainly not. It's just that I suddenly remembered that there is still something going on in the company. Why don't we end today's conversation here? Before I could reply, he fled in panic and disappeared in the blink of an eye. TSK. As soon as I was happy, I sent a red envelope to my younger brother. I reward for you. My younger brother was extremely surprised. Thanks, Your Majesty. 1 second later, he clicked on the red envelope and roared in disbelief. 52 cents? Even a dog wouldn't want it. Then give it back to me. Then I found that my younger brother had blocked me. Having completed the task ahead of schedule, I planned to stroll home. As soon as I was about to get up, a fair and slender hand suddenly reached out. A clear voice rang out. Hello. May I add you on WeChat? I am currently writing a thesis on cerebral palsy. I wonder if your younger brother can be my research case? I slowly raised my head and held my breath. The man in front of me looked in his 20s. His black hair was neat. His eyebrows and eyes were deep. And he was at least 1.85 meters tall. A handsome guy. A very handsome guy. Staring at that handsome face for 3 seconds, I nodded solemnly. Doctor. Thank you so much. He smiled, seeming a little embarrassed. I am still a Ph.D. student, specializing in pediatric cerebral palsy. What does that matter? I sent a message to my younger brother, telling him that from today on, he is a child with cerebral palsy. Looking at that red exclamation mark, I was very pleased. Silence means consent. Ding. A handsome guy was successfully added to my friend list. Is there still humanity? Is there still law? Shirley was incredulous. If your younger brother who won the first prize in the national physics competition is a child with cerebral palsy, then what are we ordinary people? I waved my hand inferently. Oh, Schrödinger's cerebral palsy. Do you understand? Shirley slumped on the sofa and murmured in despair. Having been your desk mate for 3 years as the top student in the school, I have been hit enough. As a result, your younger brother is as abnormal as you. Are you still letting people live? I showed her the circle of friends of the handsome guy. Look. A top student who is studying for a combined bachelor's, master's and doctoral degree in a major medical college. Shirley's expression was indescribable. Cindy, you are a top student yourself. Are you so interested in other top students? I nodded. Top students are common but handsome guys are not. This kind of handsome top student is even more rare. Shirley sneered. The love letter written to you by the schoolgrass in high school was used by you to prop up the table legs. Now you still have the nerve to say these things to me? I spread my hands helplessly. At that time, I was young and didn't understand those things. When I went to college and became enlightened, you don't need me to tell you what science and engineering men are like. Right? Especially since I am in the computer department, where there are all kinds of unattractive people. When I finally meet a handsome one, who wouldn't be tempted? Saying that, I changed the note of the other party to the name he had just sent, Benjamin. Then I started to think about another thing. Hey, Shirley, tell me, what kind of cerebral palsy is my younger brother? Shirley. I shook my foam. The handsome guy is asking about the illness. How dedicated. Shirley, I think your younger brother is very smart. Me. Shirley, not only smart, but also polite. Most importantly, he is also handsome. Me. I touched her forehead. Shirley, do you have a fever? She was full of sincerity. Your younger brother helped me with my homework before. I have remembered this kindness until today. No. My younger brother is a senior in high school. You are a social animal. When could he help you with your homework? But before I could ask, Shirley solemnly patted me on the shoulder and stood up. Cindy, your younger brother is really very good. You must cherish him. I suddenly remembered that I still have something to do at home, so I'll leave first. Then she looked up and greeted with a bright smile at the person behind me. Hello, little brother. Goodbye, little brother. I turned around abruptly, only to see that William had already returned at some point and was leaning lazily against the entrance cabinet. Shirley slipped away like the wind, leaving only him and me looking at each other. Me. Brother. Why didn't you say a word when you came home? He snorted and laughed. If I didn't come home, how would I know what kind of cerebral palsy I am exactly? Me. Why is this brat so vindictive? I replied to Benjamin in a flurry. His condition hasn't been good recently. Not only can't he stand straight, but he also drools and makes whining sounds without knowing what he's saying. Benjamin, his situation seems rather serious. If possible, bring him to the hospital sometime. If I dared to take William to the hospital, he would surely fight to the death with me. Not advisable. Not advisable. Under William's death stare, I replied calmly. It's busy at home during the Chinese New Year. Let's wait for a while. After sending the message, I immediately turned off the screen. William had already sat across from me. I showed a number. 50. Let's just let this matter pass today, he said. Add a 0. I exploded instantly. You're robbing me. William sneered. As a friendly reminder. You have 3 blind dates tomorrow. I pouted. Maybe I'll be in a relationship soon. Then who would go on blind dates? William poured a glass of water. Who's so unlucky to be liked by you? Just then, Mom and Dad came back just in time. Mom looked over excitedly. Cindy, are you in love? Me. It's really like I'm talking about the tower over the city gate while you're talking about the hip bone. Not yet. I'm thinking of giving it a try. My dad let out a yo. You have such high standards. For someone you like. You probably won't be able to catch up with them. Seriously. I just said that William's mouth is inherited from Dad. Mom gave him a glare. What are you talking about? Our Cindy has a good education. A good job. And is beautiful. except for being a bit direct. She's almost perfect. What kind of boy can't she catch up with? Exactly. I excitedly clicked into the big confession wall. Just looking at Benjamin's face. There must be many people confessing to him. At the very least. Let me find out if he has a girlfriend first. Know yourself and know your enemy. And you'll be invincible in 100 battles. Then I found a photo of Benjamin playing basketball that was secretly taken by someone and showed it to Mom. Come and take a look at your future son-in-law. After my mom saw it, she was silent for 3 seconds. Cindy. This one doesn't seem easy to catch up with. Why don't we find another one? What's wrong with all of you one by one? I looked back at my phone. Benjamin, the big school hunk, is in a combined undergraduate, master's, and doctoral program in the medical school. His parents are both university professors. The entire confession wall has almost become his home court. There's really not much hope in chasing him in the normal way. It's better to find another way. Then let's start from chatting about my dear cerebral palsy brother's condition. The annual leave passed in a flash. And in the blink of an eye, it was time to start working again. I sat at my workstation with half-closed eyes. It wasn't until I saw the red envelope for starting work that I finally became a little more awake. The young guy opposite me gave me an ingratiating smile. Sister She, this is your coffee. In the new year. Please take care of us a lot. I sprawled in my chair. No problem. What's for dinner? Actually, I'm really idle at the company. The boss recruited me purely because he didn't want me to stay at the previous competing company. So I'm usually responsible for organizing everyone to have fun and eat. The young guy's eyes lit up. Hot pot. This suggestion received unanimous agreement from everyone. So, in the evening, we started feasting at the hot pot restaurant. The taste was good. The service was good. The only bad thing was that I seemed to have indigestion. I waved at them. You guys go back first. I'll just go to the pharmacy to get some Wine Wai Zhaoxi tablets. But I didn't expect to run into Benjamin at the pharmacy. Cindy? His gaze fell on the bag in my hand. So late. What medicine are you getting? I quietly hid the bag behind me. Ah. It's nothing. Just a little cold. He looked me over. Didn't sleep well? Is my dark circles from staying up late playing games so obvious? However, before I could speak, he added another sentence. Because of taking care of your brother? Me. To some extent. Playing in a double row with my brother is indeed a kind of taking care of him. Right? I coughed lightly. Yes. He paused for a moment. His voice gentle. The premise of taking care of him is to take care of yourself first. Listen. What a kind-hearted doctor. I nodded vigorously and quickly changed the topic. What about you? He smiled. I just got off work. Opposite is our hospital. I looked up and found that it was indeed the big affiliated hospital in front. No wonder. Since we added WeChat last time. It's been so hard for us to meet for the second time. If we just leave like this, it's a bit of a waste of an opportunity. I pointed to the milk tea shop next to me. Speaking of which, you gave a lot of suggestions about my brother. I haven't been able to properly thank you. Let me treat you to milk tea. Benjamin originally refused, but couldn't resist me and finally agreed. I ordered a strawberry milkshake for myself and a mango pomelo sago for him. Here. I turned around and handed the milk tea over. Unexpectedly, I slipped and fell directly from the steps. Be careful. Benjamin's expression tightened immediately, and he quickly stepped forward to reach out and help me. The next second, I fell straight into his arms. Making close contact with a handsome guy is certainly great. It would be even better if my foot didn't hurt so much. Cindy. Are you okay? Benjamin's slightly tense voice came from above my head. I shook my head and was about to stand up. Otherwise, what if people misunderstand that I deliberately throw myself into his arms? But as soon as I moved a little, I was in so much pain that I let out a soft hiss. Benjamin looked down and his handsome eyebrows knitted together. It seems that you sprained your foot. The next second, my waist tightened. A freshened clean aura instantly enveloped me. I'll take you to the emergency room. Until I arrived at the emergency room, my mind was still blank. Just now, did Benjamin just bring me here directly in his arms like that? Although it was only across a road. But this is too much. The sprain is quite serious. Apply some medicine first. Try to avoid strenuous activities for the next half month. A nurse sister bandaged me up, and then took a moment to look outside the door and asked with a smile, "Are you Benjamin's girlfriend?" I quickly shook my head. "No. We are just friends." "You are mistaken." "Not? Then it will be soon. Right?" She winked at me. No wonder so many people have tried to introduce someone to him and he has never agreed. So he already has a sweetheart. And she is so beautiful. This guy is really good at hiding. Before I could explain, Benjamin came in. "How is it? Does it still hurt a lot?" A nurse sister left with an ambiguous smile. Benjamin sat down by the bed and took another look at my swollen ankle. I answered honestly. "A little." My phone lit up. It was a message from my younger brother. "Remember to pack a portion of chicken casserole for me on your way back after eating hot pot." I sent a photo of my injured foot. Then, his call came in, and I hung up directly. Benjamin seemed to glance at it unintentionally and asked, "Your family member?" "Oh, yes. They asked me why I haven't returned home so late." I said. Benjamin raised his eyes. "Let me take you home." Shirley sent a series of screaming emojis. Aha! This sprained foot is worth it. Well, who can say it isn't? Benjamin and I were sitting in the back row of a taxi. Although there was still a little distance between us, this confined space always made the ambiguity extend. I asked him about some things about his internship in the hospital and also talked some bad things about my unscrupulous boss. It was so much fun when I was in school. I sighed. After graduation, I'm not so free anymore. Speaking of which, I went to your school once before. Benjamin raised his eyebrows slightly. Oh? I thought for a while. There was a programming competition in your school when I was a sophomore. Benjamin nodded. Really? How did you rank? I waved my hand. Just so-so. He is not in my major. It's normal that he doesn't know this. Moreover, it has been several years. Oh, if I had known there was such a handsome guy in their school. I really should have applied to this university. The taxi stopped at the entrance of the community. Benjamin asked, "Since it's not convenient for you to walk, shall I accompany you inside?" I quickly said, "No need. No need. You have already gone through so much trouble for me today. It's just a few steps. I can go back by myself." Jokingly, my younger brother is waiting at home. If Benjamin sees him, won't I be exposed immediately? Hearing what I said, Benjamin didn't insist either. It wasn't until that car left that I reluctantly waved and turned around. Unexpectedly, as soon as I turned around, I almost bumped into my younger brother. "William, what are you doing standing here? You scared me to death." William first gave a disdainful look at my foot, and then followed my line of sight and looked into the distance, narrowing his eyes slightly. "Cindy. Not bad. For a wild man. You can even sacrifice your own foot? What are you talking about?" I slapped the back of his head. "That's your future senior. And even your future brother-in-law. Do you understand? Unlike me who took the exam in a different province on purpose. My younger brother has always wanted to go to this university, since he was young. It's close to home. In addition, the physics department of this university is indeed his favorite. If he can be recommended for admission smoothly in the future, he should indeed address Benjamin as senior." William shrugged and, under my gaze, resignedly helped me go upstairs. Calling him senior is my ability. But brother-in-law, do you have that ability? Why not? This is only the second time we met. And I have already fallen into his arms? Only dear comrade Shirley stands on my side. That's right. According to this progress, getting into his bed is just around the corner. Me, keep it low key. Keep it low key. My younger brother pressed the elevator. I moved aside a little and then lowered my head to type again. By the way, Benjamin looks thin, but he can easily pick me up, carrying me so far without even breathing hard. Ding. The elevator door opened. Let's go, my younger brother reminded. When I got home, Mom and Dad inevitably asked a lot of questions. After I repeatedly assured them that it was no big deal, they finally felt relieved. Back in my room, I just remembered that Shirley hadn't replied to my message for so long. I took out my phone and was about to ask, when I found a WeChat message from Benjamin. I have time to go to the gym on Saturdays and Sundays. Moreover, you are very light. Me. Damn. I sent that message to Benjamin by mistake just now. It's so tragic. Really. At this moment, I even have the thought of deleting Benjamin. Shirley comforted me. Come on. After finally making some progress with a handsome guy, it would be such a pity to give up just like that. I covered my face in despair. Yes. The progress is rapid. He already knows that I'm full of naughty thoughts. Surely. When Benjamin knew that I sprained my ankle, all he thought about were these things. What will he think of me? Ah, the gentle and strong little white flower image I painstakingly created before is completely shattered. Shirley smacked her lips. Not that I'm criticizing you, but this persona of yours is a bit outrageous. You said you had to pretend to be weak. Isn't this even more absurd than your younger brother pretending to be mentally disabled? I really have no choice. Who made our acquaintance start with this? I mustered up my courage and explained to Benjamin. Sorry. Mainly because I haven't had much contact with boys before, so I'm just a bit curious. Benjamin didn't delve further. Instead, he asked another question. Have you never been in a relationship? My heart immediately hung in suspense. Why? Why is my never been in a relationship or so unique? Yes. What? What's wrong? The other side was typing for a long time. Just when I thought Benjamin might not reply, a message finally came. Nothing. It's just a bit unexpected. There should be quite a few people chasing you. I let out a sigh of relief. Aren't you still single? As soon as I sent it, I realized it was wrong. I had never asked him face to face if he had been in a relationship before. Now asking this question, doesn't it show that I've privately inquired about him? But would withdrawing it make me seem even more guilty? I quickly remedied. I heard about you from a big friend before. They said you are extremely excellent and many people are chasing you. But you've never been in a relationship. Of course. This is pure nonsense. I do have friends at big university, but we basically have little contact. Benjamin also seemed a bit surprised. After a pause, he replied, I haven't met the right one. In fact, I really want to ask if you think I'm suitable, but I still retain the last bit of sanity. This topic was left aside. In the next half-month, I went to the hospital a few more times, more or less with the intention of bumping into Benjamin again. But unfortunately, he wasn't there every time I went. I did run into that nurse sister twice. She really seemed to take me as Benjamin's future girlfriend and was extremely kind and amiable to me. Occasionally, when I met other medical staff, their looks at me were also rather subtle. Later, I learned that the incident of Benjamin carrying me to the emergency department that night had spread throughout the affiliated hospital. So many people were full of curiosity about me. I haven't even chased the man yet. But I've been misunderstood by so many people first. Where can I reason this out? At first, I still explained a few words. But they didn't believe me no matter what. You and Benjamin are just ordinary friends? How is that possible? He has received quite a few patients, but I haven't seen him be so attentive to anyone else. Alas. I walked out of the hospital gate helplessly and sighed towards the sky. Benjamin is indeed different from others towards me. But there is a reason for it. Who would have thought that he is actually more interested in my younger brother? Not seeing Benjamin, I sadly returned home, and then was told that I had to accompany William to the recommended admission interview at big university. I won't go. My first reaction was to refuse. You clearly know that your brother-in-law is from big university. Why are you still asking me to send you there? Are you doing this on purpose? Kid? William was lying on the sofa, and instead laughed. Yes. Don't you want to take this opportunity to meet him and deepen your relationship? My mother also nodded in agreement beside me. That's right. Cindy. Your younger brother is right. I see that you haven't made much progress with that boy recently. Why not take the initiative? I was speechless. How can I tell my dear mother that in Benjamin's view, my younger brother actually has a serious problem? If I really meet him at big university, how can I explain? Pathetic. William sneered. With just this little courage. Being so scared. And you still want to chase after someone? My anger flared up immediately. Who's scared? I'll go. Anyway. Benjamin is mostly in the hospital for internship now and basically doesn't return to school very often. Even if I accompany my younger brother to big university, it's unlikely that we'll meet. The day we went to big university was a Friday. My younger brother went upstairs. As I was waiting downstairs and feeling a bit bored, I decided to take a stroll around the campus. In March, the weather was just right and the campus was very lively. I sat on a bench, my hand on my forehead, looking at the young boys running on the basketball court ahead, and couldn't help but sigh. Big university really is full of handsome guys. Suddenly, a somewhat familiar voice rang out beside my ear. Like them? Of course. I subconsciously turned my head and saw a handsome and elegant face. I widened my eyes. Benjamin. Why is he here? The words that were on the tip of my tongue got stuck in my throat abruptly. I felt my face was almost turning red. Don't like them. Of course I don't like them. Benjamin raised an eyebrow. Really? You don't like guys like this? Then what kind of person do you like? For some reason. At this moment I actually felt guilty and subconsciously replied, I have very high standards. Someone like you is not bad. As soon as the words left my mouth, I realized what a terrifying and dangerous statement I had made. I wished I could bite off my tongue. Cindy. What are you doing? In a panic, I tried to open my mouth to salvage the situation. No. I didn't mean that. Please don't misunderstand. Benjamin was silent for a few seconds before slowly asking, Then what did you mean? Someone like me. Not good enough? Good enough. Of course it's good enough. I quickly said. You are extremely good. Benjamin. A few students passing by not far away all looked over here in unison, curious and gossipy, with ambiguous and subtle smiles on their faces. Something seems not quite right. You people don't eat melons randomly. I summoned up my courage and finally explained with difficulty. Well, everyone has a love for beauty, right? Benjamin probably didn't expect me to say this. For a moment, he didn't refute, but nodded instead. He then asked another question. Why are you here today? Shouldn't I be the one asking you this? Seeming to see my confusion, he took the initiative to explain. Oh. Today there is an alumni visit on the school side. I am in charge of receiving them. A century-old prestigious school has produced many extremely remarkable people. No wonder. I casually made up a reason. I came to deliver something to a friend. Benjamin's gaze slightly lowered, and his line of sight fell on my ankle. What thing is so important that you have to deliver it in person? How is your injury recovering? Does it still hurt? William should really come and listen. Benjamin even knows that I have just recovered from my injury and can't be tired. But he actually asked me to accompany him here. I smiled at him. It's okay. My injury is almost healed. This short distance is still not a problem. Benjamin nodded again. Then he glanced at the time and asked. It's rare to meet. The food in our school cafeteria is quite delicious. Want to try it? My heart beat a few times faster. Is he inviting me to have a meal? There is certainly no reason to refuse. Good. Before I could finish speaking, my phone rang. It was a voice call from William. Only then did I notice the message he sent 15 minutes ago. I'm done here. Where are you? Where are you? Are you there? Is that you next to the basketball court? Looking at this newly sent message, I was startled. This kid saw me, so he must be nearby. I looked around and saw William walking this way on the shady road not far away. My heart gave a violent jump if Benjamin sees him. How can I explain? Oh, I suddenly remembered that I have some things to do at home. I'm afraid I can't stay for a meal, I said in a hurry, trying to make Benjamin face away from the direction William was coming. How about making an appointment another day? Benjamin was stunned. His thin lips pressed slightly together, and a trace of disappointment seemed to flash across his eyes. But such an expression disappeared in an instant. I was only thinking about William coming soon and didn't have time to think deeply about it. Probably seeing that I was really in a hurry. Benjamin nodded slightly. Okay. How was the interview? On the way back, the car was silent. After calming down, I remembered that I hadn't asked William about the guaranteed admission yet. William twitched the corner of his mouth and mocked. It's really hard for you. You still remember that you have a younger brother like me? I said calmly. William, remember that your sister rejected a man's invitation for you today. You owe me your life. William. He leaned on the passenger seat. It's okay. The admission letter should be sent to the school soon. I sighed sadly. William sat up straight again. No. What do you mean by this? I got into college without taking the college entrance examination like you. Are you not convinced? I shook my head solemnly. That's not it. I was just thinking that after you enter college, sooner or later you will meet your brother-in-law. What should I say then? I glanced at him. Medical miracle? I saw in the news that there are really children with cerebral palsy who manage to get into college through their strong will. It's extremely amazing. William looked speechless. Don't be too absurd. I'm serious. Alas. This kid is so rebellious. If I can't catch up with Benjamin in the future, it will all be his fault. I thought I could drag it out a bit longer anyway. But I didn't expect everything to come earlier than I thought. Benjamin said that my younger brother's condition is not very compatible with his research direction, and he has already selected other cases. This news is like a bolt from the blue to me. I haven't even held his hand yet. Is it over just like this? I am extremely distressed. Shirley sat opposite me, eating while comforting me. You haven't held his hand, but at least you hugged. It's better not to mention it. Now I'm even more sad. He doesn't need my younger brother with cerebral palsy anymore. Then what excuse can I find to approach him in the future? Just as we were talking, the waiter came over and said apologetically that there were too many people in the store. He asked if we could share a table. Then, I saw the person standing behind her. Benjamin? When he saw me, he seemed quite surprised. Cindy? I was delighted. Just as I was about to say that we are really destined to meet. Before I could open my mouth, a girl popped out from behind him and asked in a soft voice. Senior brother. Is this your friend? That girl looked only 21 or 22 years old, but with delicate makeup and stylish dressing. At a glance, it was obvious that she had put a lot of thought into this meal. My heart sank. Benjamin is having a meal with a girl? Most people say that Benjamin is dedicated to academics and keeps a distance from women. He hasn't had a girlfriend in all these years. But now this Benjamin glanced at me and was about to speak, when a tall boy walked over from behind. As soon as the boy saw me, he blurted out, Cindy? When I saw him, I couldn't help but curse in my heart. But on the surface, I still showed a polite smile. Chuzi Achi? What a coincidence to meet here. Chuzi Achi's gaze shifted between me and Benjamin Weiss, full of shock and confusion. No. You two know each other? One word can describe the relationship between me and Juzi, he vanquished opponent. In that computer competition back then, He was the representative of the big team and finally lost to me, and won the silver award. I heard that he has been a child of heaven since childhood and has never been second. After losing to me, he was depressed for a long time. This is a small matter and not worth mentioning. The key is that after graduation, we happened to go for an interview at the same company and became colleagues. So we naturally added each other on WeChat. However, it wasn't long before I changed jobs. So we didn't have much contact. I really didn't expect that he would actually get together with Benjamin. So, you two were roommates in college? I picked up a slice of potato and sighed inwardly. What terrible luck. Choosy He was sitting right across from me and still kept looking at me and Benjamin. Yes. But I'm quite surprised that you two know each other. You too. Afraid that he would keep asking. I interrupted him and asked with a smile. We actually added each other on WeChat by chance. I forgot to ask just now. Benjamin. Is this your junior sister? Benjamin nodded and said. Chuo. Choosy He's younger sister. Chuo curved her eyes and said. When I was in senior 3. I accompanied my brother to the university once and then I was determined to be admitted to the medical school of the university. Unfortunately, I wasn't admitted. Fortunately, I was finally admitted to graduate school and happened to be in the same major as my senior brother. Shirley kicked me hard under the table. Listen. Who can't tell that she came to this university, just for Benjamin? Her brother is even college roommates with Benjamin. Girl. You are in danger. I had an expressionless face. Aren't there already many people chasing after this man? There are piles of confessions on the confession wall. I knew the difficulty level from the first day I met him. It's just that this is the first time it's so intuitive. Can I control who likes him or not? Benjamin was relatively quiet. Except for the initial greetings. He didn't say much. Chuo looked at me, and then at Benjamin. She put one hand on her cheek and asked with a smile. Senior brother. Actually, there's a piece of gossip I've always wanted to ask. Someone on the school confession wall said that they saw you and your girlfriend next to the basketball court before. Is it true or false? She seemed to ask casually. But my action of picking up dishes slowed down for a beat. Although I tried my best to restrain myself, I still couldn't help secretly looking at Benjamin with my peripheral vision. Next to the basketball court. That's probably me. What will he say? Benjamin's eyelids drooped slightly. It didn't seem that this question caused him any trouble. He said, I don't have a girlfriend. The indescribable emotions that had been surging secretly suddenly stopped at this moment. I picked up my cup and took a sip of orange juice, but found it tasted bitter. Sure enough, I was thinking too much. At that moment, what was I longing for? And what was I waiting for? I changed to the green plum wine next to me. As soon as I poured it, Benjamin looked up. You still have to go to work tomorrow. Change to orange juice. The tone in which he said this was extremely natural. It sounded as if we were very familiar. Chuo looked at us in surprise. My heart skipped a beat. But when I remembered his answer just now, I inexplicably felt a soreness in my heart. Cindy. What are you thinking? You are just an ordinary friend of his now. How can you be qualified to think about this and that here? Chuo forced a smile and asked tentatively. Senior brother. You seem to be quite familiar with Sister Cindy? Benjamin didn't answer her. He just kept looking at the glass of wine beside my hand. I said with a smile. Coincidentally. I sprained my ankle accidentally before. Thanks to Drive. Fu for helping me. As I said this, I picked up that glass of wine. Don't worry. I can hold my liquor. A little bit is fine. Benjamin's black pupils looked at me as if confirming something. After a moment, he nodded. I drank it all in one gulp. The atmosphere at the dining table somehow became subtle. But after I had 2 glasses of plum wine, I couldn't care about these anymore. The meal was uninteresting. Then we'll leave first. I got up and said goodbye to them. My head was a bit dizzy and I staggered. Benjamin immediately grabbed my wrist. and his brows slightly wrinkled. Are you drunk? The warm touch came, making people flustered. I smiled at him, took a step back, and broke free from his hand. No. I just got up suddenly and was a bit unsteady. Benjamin's hand paused in my draft for a moment. His slender fingers curled slightly and then withdrew. I waved at them with a smile. Someone will come to pick me up soon. You guys continue. Benjamin's brows wrinkled almost imperceptibly. Who? Of course it's my younger brother. The words that were on the tip of my tongue suddenly got stuck. Although I was a bit tipsy, my mind was still clear. I answered vaguely. Friend. Just as I was speaking, Shirley pulled me. Cindy. The person is here. Let's go. I looked up and saw that my younger brother had indeed arrived outside the door. Mainly, this kid is quite tall, and can be seen at a glance. In addition, that lazy air is unique. It's impossible not to recognize it. I knew I couldn't hold my liquor well, so I told him in advance to come and pick me up. For this, I even gave a huge red envelope of 66 cents. My friend is here. Goodbye. As I said this, I walked over there. Benjamin's lips moved slightly as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he slightly turned around and let me pass. Be careful on the road, he said. Let me know when you get home. I think Benjamin is a bit strange today, but I can't tell exactly what's strange. Before I could think about it carefully, I had already met up with my younger brother. It's getting harder and harder to get you to come. I couldn't help but complain. William pressed my head and turned it to the side in disgust. With your drinking capacity, you still dare to drink outside? Wait and see how Mom and Dad scold you when you get back. I slapped his hand away and pinched his face and pulled hard. William, if I die, I will definitely send you on your way first. Shirley covered her face. Can you to stop being embarrassing until I leave? I still want to save face. In the end, I still fought and bickered all the way home with William. After a simple wash, I planned to go to bed directly. But lying in bed, I couldn't fall asleep no matter what. I held my phone and looked at Benjamin's profile picture. Extremely hesitant. Finally, I couldn't help but call Shirley. Shirley, I don't think I have much hope. Maybe. Forget it. Shirley was surprised. No way? Are you giving up just like that? Where's the energy you had when you single-handedly defeated all the boys in the college and won the scholarship? Bring it out. I turned over. This is different. I compete for scholarships because I know that by defeating those opponents, the final victory will definitely belong to me. But liking someone is not like this. Even if I can beat Shu Ruo, Shang Ruo, Li Ruo, will Benjamin necessarily belong to me? Shirley smacked her lips. Anyway, for your matter, it must still depend on your own thoughts. But Cindy, I think there's a chance for you too. The corner of my mouth twitched. Where did you see that from? Shirley didn't know where her confidence came from. I can't say. Anyway, when we were having a meal today, I felt he was different towards you. Different? In what way is it different? I don't have a younger brother to give him now. Thinking of this, I couldn't help feeling a sense of sadness. Forget it. It's impossible for us. Before I finished speaking, I saw another incoming call pop on my phone screen. Benjamin? Shirley. Wait a moment. I'll answer a call first. Saying that, I cleared my throat and then answered Benjamin's call. Hello? It's so late. What's the matter? Benjamin paused for a moment. Nothing. I just wanted to ask if you've arrived home. Ah? Only then did I remember that he had said before that I should let him know when I get home. But I forgot. I've arrived. It's been a while. I forgot to tell you. I felt a bit embarrassed. Benjamin, it doesn't matter. As long as you arrive home safely, I'll be relieved. I couldn't help but smile. I'm not a child anymore. Although I had a little wine, I still can't get lost. Moreover, Someone sent me back. There's nothing to worry about. It's because someone sent you back that I'm not at ease. Benjamin suddenly interrupted me. I suddenly lost my voice. My mind was a bit muddled. It took me a while to react. What? I didn't expect to run into you today. The rest of the time has already been arranged and it's not easy to change. Benjamin paused. Otherwise, I should have sent you back in person. This was indeed a chance encounter. I didn't intend to let him send me in the first place. But these words, my heart pounded several times, constantly colliding in my chest. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. Benjamin was silent for a long time before finally speaking. He seemed to ask casually, so, in your eyes, am I the same as other boys? How can I answer this? Why does this man talk so strangely? I'm about to be burned out. Say the same? Somehow I feel this answer is inappropriate. Say different? It seems even more inappropriate. I blinked and suppressed my heartbeat. Dr. Fu is Dr. Fu. Others are others. There was silence on the other end of the phone. And only the faint sound of the wind could be heard. I suddenly remembered another thing and asked indirectly, Hey, Dr. Fu. It seems you're on the road? Yes. I'm almost at the hospital. I'm on duty tonight. He said. I held back and couldn't hold back. Oh. I see. I thought you were still with Xu Ziqi and them. Didn't you just say that the rest of the time has already been arranged? There seemed to be a hint of a smile in Benjamin's voice. It's not with them. I discussed with a colleague to change shifts. His family had something come up temporarily. So I took his place. So that's it. The stone that was originally pressing on my chest seemed to have lightened a lot. Just as I was thinking. Benjamin continued, moreover, I don't like staying with people I'm not familiar with. People I'm not familiar with? I hesitated for a moment. There's only Xu Ziqi and Xu Yuo. Xu Ziqi is his roommate from undergraduate days. And the two obviously have a good relationship. Then this so-called person I'm not familiar with refers to Xu Yuo? But isn't she his junior sister in the same major? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but ask. Benjamin's voice was faint. It's true that we're in the same major. But she's in her first year of graduate school, and spends most of her time at school. We haven't met many times. What he said makes sense. But, Dr. Fu. I held my breath and said in a low voice. Even I can see that she likes you. Do you really have no thoughts? What thoughts should I have? Benjamin asked in return. I was momentarily speechless and couldn't say anything. I originally wanted to inquire about the situation subtly. This is too direct. Why did I have to open my mouth? This makes everyone so awkward. Just as I was racking my brains to think of how to defend myself, Benjamin's voice lowered a few degrees and came from the receiver. Moreover, I already have someone I like. And then? Shirley pressed. I told the truth. There's no then. That's all we talked about. Shirley sighed. Awesome. Really. I really admire you too. You've reached this point. And neither of you pierces that layer of window paper. Are you making me worry alone here? I had a bit of secret expectation but didn't dare to have too much hope. He only said that he has someone he likes. But he didn't say that person is me. There are so many girls chasing him. What qualities do I have? Shirley sneered. You have time to talk nonsense with me, here but no time to open your mouth and ask one more question? He made this call. Isn't it because he's afraid you'll misunderstand him and Xu Yuo? Shirley was exasperated. He's been so proactive. What are you still hesitating about? I was also confused. Yes. If he really has thoughts about me, can't he take one more step forward? This kind of suspense is so uncomfortable. When Shirley heard this, she couldn't figure it out either. That's right. What does he mean by saying half and leaving half unsaid? How would I know? Forget it. You're not in a position to criticize others either. After all, you deceived them first. Shirley began to gloat. If you really end up with that person later on, Sooner or later you'll have to explain the misunderstanding about your younger brother. Right? I advise you. Confess and you'll be dealt with leniently. Resist and you'll be dealt with severely. The sooner you tell, the better. Otherwise, if you can't handle the situation later, I'll see what you can do. Actually, I think so too. If I really want to pursue Benjamin, this matter will have to be made clear to him sooner or later. After much thought, I decided to take the initiative. So I sent another message to Benjamin. Are you free this Saturday night? I've been saying I'll treat you to a meal for a long time. Benjamin seemed to be busy. After half an hour, he replied, I just admitted a patient and didn't see it. Okay. On Saturday. I rarely took the time to seriously tidy myself up. My younger brother looked me up and down. Oh, making such a big fuss? I get annoyed when I see his smirking face waiting to see a joke. Get lost. Your elder sister is going to be straightforward today and directly win over your brother-in-law. Got it? Actually, I'm not sure in my heart either. But of course I have to put on an air in front of this brat. I'm going out too. Give me a ride. I gave him a look. This kid's letter of admission for early admission was delivered to the school 2 days ago. The teacher and parents are very happy and don't pay much attention to him anymore. So compared to other senior high school seniors, he is indeed much more relaxed. Driver's fee. I held out my hand. Half a minute later, William transferred 13 cents to me. Thinking that today's main ask is Benjamin, I didn't waste time and energy on William. Anyway, I can settle the score later. Half an hour later, I parked my car in the underground parking lot and entered the elevator with William. This shopping mall is very lively. Especially today is Saturday. There are even more people. The elevator is quickly full. And there are still people trying to get in. It's overloaded. Let's wait for the next one. Someone outside said. Through the crowd, I heard a somewhat familiar voice. Why does this sound so much like Benjamin's voice? Curious. I looked up and found that the person standing outside the elevator was indeed him. I was stunned. But I didn't expect William beside me to speak first. Teacher Sue? Huh? Is he calling? The middle-aged man next to Benjamin? I also know those teachers in his school. But I've never seen this one before. He looks very refined. That teacher looked over and also smiled. William? However, before I could figure out the identity of this teacher, William's gaze slightly shifted and he looked at Benjamin. Brother-in-law? I could hardly believe my ears. However, Benjamin's slightly stunned expression clearly showed that William had indeed called out that. My mind instantly exploded. Just when I was about to explain, the elevator door slowly closed. I haven't lost so much face in my life as I have today. I looked at William resentfully, and had the urge to kill him. What are you shouting for? Unexpectedly, William was confident and retorted, brother-in-law. Why? You can call him that. But I can't? Me. He softly sneered. I don't know who is brainwashing people at home every day. Let alone me. Even if Mom came today, she would also have to call him son-in-law. I took a deep breath. Okay. You can shut up now. Now is not the time to argue with him about this. The key is Benjamin. When he comes up later, we still have to have a meal together. For the first time in my life, I understand what it means to be so embarrassed that I wish I could disappear. Or should I still run, if you have to say that? But I really have to eat this meal today, no matter what. I closed my eyes and calmed myself down. That teacher Sue you called just now. Why haven't I seen him? William explained. Oh. That's a professor from a major university, and also one of my interviewer teachers. Actually, I had already guessed. William and I got out of the elevator on different floors. I arrived at the reserved restaurant first and waited nervously for Benjamin's arrival. Actually, he should be on the next elevator right behind me. The time interval is not long. But for me, it really feels like a year. I took out my phone and was about to complain to Shirley. Heaven is going to destroy me. My younger brother just ran into Benjamin. The key is that this idiot even called him brother-in-law. I was frantically typing when suddenly someone walked towards me. Looking up. Who else could it be but Benjamin? I immediately turned off the screen guiltily. You're here? Benjamin sat down opposite me. His gaze swept lightly over my phone. Busy? Not busy. Not busy. I coughed and handed over the menu. This Cantonese cuisine sure is very delicious. I ordered a few dishes. See if there's anything else you want to eat. Benjamin added 2 more dishes and finally added a strawberry ice cream. I remember you like strawberry flavor, he said. The heartbeat that had just calmed down became chaotic again. I only ordered strawberry flavor once when I bought milk tea before. Does he still remember? The explanation I had just thought of got stuck in my throat. But unexpectedly, Benjamin was the one who spoke first. That just now. Was that your younger brother? Here it comes. My heart tightened involuntarily. And I unconsciously straightened my back. Yes. Benjamin nodded thoughtfully. His thin lips curved slightly. And there was a hint of a smile at the corners of his mouth. You two don't look very much alike. A lot of people say that. I look a bit more like my mom. He looks more like my dad. Isn't he having a meal with us? Memph. He has an appointment with a friend. I just gave him a ride on the way. Benjamin nodded. Now that you've been recommended for admission to college, you can indeed relax properly. Me. I summoned my courage. You already know? Benjamin smiled. Professor Sue is a friend of my parents and also our neighbor. He came here for something. But today his car is restricted. So he came with me in my car. No wonder. Then Benjamin just asked casually, and must have understood everything. I clenched my hand tightly and didn't dare to look at him. I really didn't mean to deceive you on purpose before. Benjamin didn't speak. If what I did wasn't on purpose, then I really don't know what would be considered on purpose. If you mind. I apologized to why, Cindy. He suddenly called my name. I was stunned and looked up subconsciously. What? Benjamin looked at me steadily. There seemed to be a vortex deep in his deep-eye pupils, making it hard to break free once you look at it. Has anyone ever told you that you are very beautiful today? My face instantly flushed. Benjamin seemed to be recalling something and said, as beautiful as the day I first saw you. This direct compliment is so strong that I can hardly handle it. Then I recalled myself on the day we first met completely without makeup and my hair wasn't even washed. I began to doubt his taste. Are you saying that my makeup skills are not good and I look the same with or without makeup? But Benjamin laughed. What I said is not about the day of your blind date. Huh? I was momentarily confused. Not that day. Then which day? Benjamin took a sip of rose tea. I forgot to mention earlier. A few years ago. When Juicy H participated in that competition. As his roommate. I also went to the scene to cheer for him. So, the first time Benjamin saw me was actually at that time. I couldn't help but ask. It's been several years. Do you still remember? Benjamin tilted his head. Actually, I arrived relatively late and only saw from a distance. But that night he drowned his sorrows in alcohol. In the end, I carried him back to the dormitory. So I was deeply impressed by the one who defeated him. This is a compliment. Right? It should be, right? When I saw you again in the CAF that day, I didn't recognize you at first. It wasn't until you mentioned your job. Benjamin seemed to chuckle. Then I made the connection. It's really unexpected that the conditions that were disliked by the blind date man back then actually had an unexpected gain. I pouted. Before, when I mentioned it to you, you still pretended not to know, although I deceived him. In this way, he also hid something from me. Originally, it was just a casual complaint. But unexpectedly, after hearing this, Benjamin didn't respond. I laughed awkwardly. I was just saying it casually. I don't mean to blame you. But if that's the case, then between us, is it considered even? My situation is of course much more serious than his. But if I don't seize this opportunity now, who knows if there will be a second chance. However, Benjamin didn't seem to mind at all. Instead, he leaned back on the chair and smiled. Okay. I quietly confirmed with him. You said this yourself. You can't bring this up to scold me again in the future. Benjamin nodded. Of course. The waiters began to serve the dishes one after another. I took the opportunity to convey the real situation to Shirley. Best i.e., I feel there is still hope for me. Shirley, Benjamin suddenly said. That day when we had a meal, was it also your younger brother who picked you up? Without looking up, I said. Yes. Benjamin smiled. I thought. He paused and didn't continue. But I miraculously understood his implied meaning and found it a bit amusing for a moment. Otherwise? Did you still think he was my boyfriend? Benjamin shook his head and said. You said you've never been in a relationship. So I thought he was someone chasing you. I really couldn't help laughing and teased. Him? Although the people chasing me have lined up all the way to France, he is really just a stranger with the same father and mother as me. This matter is finally explained clearly. I breathed a sigh of relief and decisively chose to change the topic. How have you been recently? Benjamin, quite busy. I understand. As graduation is approaching, one should be very busy. Busy with your thesis? Benjamin was silent for a moment and then looked at me with a smile. Busy lining up in France. I had just taken a bite of the strawberry ice cream ball. Hearing this, I was instantly stunned. The sounds and scenes around me seemed to fade rapidly and become blurry. Only the sweetness between my lips and teeth exploded. I opened my mouth with difficulty and finally asked. Huh? Benjamin didn't know what he was thinking of. The corners of his mouth curved slightly. In fact, when I first saw you, it was from a relatively far distance. I didn't even see your appearance clearly. I only remember that the person standing on the highest podium was very lazy all over but had very bright eyes. I didn't expect to meet her again after a few years. Strangely, at the moment I saw her, that past scene suddenly became vivid in my mind again. My palms were inexplicably a bit numb. I just felt that the sweetness of this strawberry ice cream was really too intense. Then what? I couldn't help but ask. Then, for some inexplicable reason, I thought to myself that if I missed this opportunity, there might really be no next chance. Benjamin pressed his fingertips to his brow, looking a bit helpless yet with an inexplicable indulgence. So, from now on, when others ask how we met, that WeChat message on that day wasn't added by chance. Got it? Shirley didn't receive my reply for a long time and was extremely anxious on the other end, constantly bombarding the screen with messages. How is it? How is it? Did the direct shot hit? I blinked and considered my reply. It seems that I was hit by the direct shot. Shirley? I looked back at Benjamin again and felt my ears getting a bit hot. Then if not saying that, what should be said? Benjamin, tell the truth. Me? Huh? Benjamin's lips curved slightly. Just say that Benjamin likes Cindy and has been plotting for her for a long time. I can't remember how I left the restaurant with Benjamin in the end. Anyway, William had already been bombarding me with messages. I'm done here. Are you finished eating? It's time to go. Haven't finished eating yet? Cindy? Cindy, that's enough. Do you still want to stay out all night? Until we reached the parking lot. William had a resentful look on his face. Then he saw our clasped hands and was instantly stunned. I called out to him, "What are you standing there for? Don't you greet him?" William, TSK. Weren't you very good at calling brother-in-law just now? You really dropped the ball at crucial moments. I looked at Benjamin and said in a low voice, "My younger brother is a bit slow sometimes. Don't mind." William instantly exploded. His face showing, "You are the one with cerebral palsy. Your whole family has cerebral palsy." I was too lazy to deal with him. Benjamin squeezed my hand. "I think he's very clever. Just because he called you brother-in-law? Benjamin chuckled in a low voice. That shout of his. Was it on purpose? Hmm? William had already opened the card or and snorted. Chasing a man is so troublesome. I feel like only I am out of the loop. Benjamin tapped my forehead. Everyone can see that I like you. My heart started racing out of control again. I couldn't resist standing on tiptoe and kissing him. Now. Everyone also knows that I like you. After all the twists and turns. We finally met again. And in the end. I belong to you. The end.